President Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping speaking on the phone yesterday, discussing Taiwan, trade, AI technology, and China's support for the Russian military. The White House downplaying the call as a, quote, check-in. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen will head to China today for bilateral meetings, and Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is set to visit in the coming weeks. Joining me now is former State Department senior advisor to both Donald Trump and George W. Bush. He is the Center for National Interest senior fellow, Christian Whiton. Christian, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Your reaction to this constant outreach to Communist China?
It looks like a repeat, Marie, of the Summer of Love, which was last summer after a series of cabinet leaders and the Federal Reserve chairman went to Beijing, and this nonstop pageant of outreach culminating in the president meeting with Xi Jinping outside in a highly secure location outside of San Francisco, at which nothing was significantly agreed. I mean, while you're talking to Xi Jinping about AI, do we think China is going to help us with AI? Do we think China is going to do anything with AI except use it to make a more perfect tyranny and to make weapons that are better at targeting our ships and aircraft? It's just part of this Biden administration China policy of not really having a China policy. You know, Yellen's going to go over and talk about trade. She's going to Guangzhou and Beijing. But what really that means is that any changes to U.S. trade policy are now going to have to wait until after she goes, until after Blinken goes. And the administration seems less likely to make significant moves that really ought to be made before the election.
Well, I mean, look, the last time we saw this quote-unquote check-in was in November when President Biden was trying to get Xi Jinping to push the militaries of each country to have better communication so that the militaries were talking with each other. We have not seen evidence that, in fact, they are talking regularly to one another. Why not? And what do you think that kind of threat represents?
Well, it's a significant threat. The outgoing commander of U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, basically in his swan song before Congress, I think it was March 20th, warned that we are not building up our forces in the Pacific adequately enough to deter China. There's been some good moves. We've been selling some arms to Taiwan, although a lot of those excuse me, have gotten diverted to Ukraine. Japan is over time doubling its defense budget, but not really the plus up that you would like to see. And frankly, a lot of aggression, not just over Taiwan. There's a low intensity conflict going on now in the South China Sea with the Chinese Coast Guard and fishing vessels that are really Chinese militia basically confronting Taiwan over claims that in territory that the Philippines has traditionally controlled. You could have World War III, the flashpoint be the South China Sea instead of Taiwan Strait. And but again, you're not seeing that sort of shift in our military from a force designed for counterinsurgency in the 2010s into what we need today, which is focused on China and to a lesser extent Iran.
Yeah, not to mention China's support for Russia in its efforts to crush Ukraine, and China's support for Iran. Iran's president is now vowing revenge against Israel after the deadly IDF airstrike on the Iranian consulate in Syria. He says Israel will be punished, but the U.S. Department of Defense is distancing itself from this strike. Watch this.
You mentioned that the United States reached out to the Iranians. Can you explain why? I mean, I understand the circumstances, but what is the rationale in doing so?
To make clear that the U.S. had nothing to do with those strikes.
Christian, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is like the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff calling up the Chinese in the closing days of the Trump administration to sort of make nice with our adversaries for no reason. We should be grateful for what Israel did. It's very similar to what the Trump administration did in orchestrating the killing of Soleimani. This is a guy whose job it is to kill Americans and Israelis and Europeans. He's head of the IRGC. That was Soleimani. This is his successor. And these are the ones who are in charge of exporting revolution, of undermining any sort of accountable government in the Middle East and replacing it with the type of Islamist tyranny you see in Iran, and doing so through warfare. So what Israel did was good. It's similar like in the old days when they would go bomb Saddam's nuclear program. We should be very happy that they did this and not be condemning them.
Israel, of course, taking responsibility for the airstrike that killed 7 World Central Kitchen aid workers in Gaza on Monday, saying that the strikes were an accident. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu writes this on X. Israel deeply regrets the tragic incident which claimed the lives of 7 humanitarian aid workers. The IDF is conducting a swift and transparent investigation, and we will make our findings public. Christian, your thoughts?
You know, I would contrast this to what happened with Joe Biden when he got 13 U.S. servicemen killed in Afghanistan amid the humiliating withdrawal there. The White House, the DOD, someone panicked in order to strike against someone that killed 7 children, 10 people overall. CENTCOM said they would take responsibility. They didn't. No one got held responsible for that. Contrast that to Israel, which actually is, I believe, going to take responsibility for this accident. The other thing, Joe Biden called up the celebrity boss of this food distribution organization. Has he called the families of Americans who are being held hostage by Hamas? Has he called any Israeli families of young children who were murdered by these Hamas terrorists? Again, the priorities and the emphasis are all wrong when it comes to our public diplomacy.
Wow, really discouraging. Christian, thank you very much. We'll keep watching all of that. Christian Whiton joining us this morning.